beautiful day. Today is so pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So today we've got, and this is a chance for you to ask lots of questions about stuff if you want. We don't quite have as many people as we usually have on this, but that's okay because whoever is here is who we need to be here. So I'm sorry for running a little late. Like I said, I don't know what happened to us. But we're all here now, and it's so good to see you all here. I'm actually at the council office now because I had some meetings earlier, and I'm on my cell phone. So if you have hands up or something, just say, and I don't see it, or the person doesn't see it, just say, excuse me, and go ahead and ask a question. We actually have somebody from Codes, Mr. Doc. We've got, yes.
Before you get too far, I don't think the recording is going yet.
Oh, okay. You got that, Miss Rosie?
It is recording.
There we go, Tawana. So back to my folks. And we have all of my wonderful constituents on. You can see their names. Hi, everyone. I see Ms. Moore just unmuted. Just turn on her camera. Hey there, everyone. So we have Mr. Dot from Codes. We've got Mr. Honeysuckle and Ms. Peoples from Metro Water. We've got Mr. Purvis from NDOT. And we've got our wonderful Commander Lovell from the police. And so they're going to talk to you about different things they're doing in the area and kind of give you an update on things. And then if you have questions, please make sure to ask those questions. Another part of NDOT, I had been getting some questions because, now is the time for the traffic calming stuff. And some of the areas may already be on it. But if you have questions about who you need to send a request to get on that, you can do that at this time. And I know we are going to, because it's been happening in my area, that it seems like we're still getting at night some of those shootings and things. So you can talk to our commander about that as well and give him the different areas and what you need so that he can get that down, because they do want to know where that's happening. So if he has to put folks out there to monitor it, he'll know where to go. And anything that has to do with trash and things like that, you've got NDOT. Miss Whitney, are you on here? Is my beautification commissioner on here?
I sure am.
Yay! Okay, so don't let me forget to say something to you as well, because Ms. Campbell is our new beautification person, and she's kind of just getting into this stuff, but she's wonderful. She can help you to help organize pickups and all those type of things. And I also have Mr. Young here from the fire department, and he will answer any questions about the fire station. We had a big conversation about that land that we got. So we did get that land. It doesn't mean that they're going to start building on it or anything like that. I know there were a group of people who had like a subcommittee or something that was looking for places in other areas that could do a station. So that is still being done. But if there are any kind of updates or anything that the fire department wants to bring with it, give to us, or any advice now that it's starting to get warm, and we probably still have a lot of leaves in our house, in our yards, and I can see across the streets and people are doing some burning of leaves and different things. So the different times and how that can be done and where that should be done and shouldn't be done, things like that. So I'm going to start with codes and go down to water, do NDOT, do our commander, and then do fire, if that's all right. And you all are going to leave time for lots of questions afterwards. Is there anybody else on here that I did not recognize that I need to recognize? Maybe somebody from the mayor's office or anybody that I need to say anything about? There's a Derek somebody that I am supposed to say something about, but I didn't see the whole name.
No worries. Derek Hagerty with NDOT. I'm just here to help Matt.
Okay, cool, cool. Thank you, because I didn't see everything. All right. I'm gonna turn it over to codes first and let you all get started. And as you go through, you can introduce your teams to everybody. Is that good for everybody?
Sure.
All right, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Will Dodd. I'm the Public Information Manager for the Metro Codes Department. Appreciate Councilmember Lee and Rosie inviting us out this afternoon. Just a quick background. So the Codes Department here at Metro, we're in charge of construction and zoning and property standards. So we permit all the construction that goes on in the city. We do all the inspections, as well as any short-term rentals permitting, landlord permitting, and anything with property standards. I wanted to cover a couple quick things as far as construction violations that we're seeing in neighborhoods and property standards issues as well. These tend to change a little bit once the weather starts to warm up. We start to see a little bit different variation in violations and things because of that weather change. A couple of issues we run into most that you may see in the community, especially this time of year, is tall grass and weeds. We have a lot of abandoned lots that are overgrown, properties that have just been abandoned. And what the code says is, all grass and weeds on properties needs to be 12 inches or less. We try to do our best to respond to all inspection requests. I think last year we had 37,000 property standards inspections that we conducted. But tall grass and weeds is one of the most common ones. Again, in the spring and summer, we want to keep that down because we have issues with rodents and mosquitoes and things like that, especially as the weather warms up, that become a health issue. Cars parked in the grass is a really big problem we're seeing, especially for homes that may have, several individuals living there. When people park in the grass and not on the street or in the driveway, they block access to first responders' vehicles, as well as they can cause stormwater issues and issues with mosquitoes once you knock down all that grass and you're parking in mud. So it's just several different issues with public safety when we fill those yards full of cars. Another initiative we work on with my friends here from NDOT is abandoned vehicles. We often see vehicles that are missing parts or, missing tags and have been, not moved in several months. Those are something we can go out. We place a big orange sticker on the window. I'm sure you've seen those before. That gives the owner 10 days to respond and move the vehicle. If that doesn't take place, we do send a contractor out to pick up and remove the car. So if you do see something like that, you can send those complaints in, whether it's a construction issue or property standards. The best way to get those issues sent in to us is through Hub Nashville. We try to send everything through there for a couple different reasons. One, those reports come to us every single day. And two, when you submit something, it gives you an email back letting you know a reference number so you can track it in real time and see if we've inspected it, if we've closed out the case, or if it's been resolved. And you can kind of track it through there to make sure that everything's being kept up with in your community. Another quick thing I wanted to cover is construction hours and noise. So typically throughout the year, outdoor construction, whether it's residential or commercial, is allowed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. There is never any outside construction to be permitted on Sundays. The construction hours 7 to 7 actually change in June, July, and August. Those 3 hottest months of the year, you'll see it allowed from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you have 2 extra hours tacked on. That's typically for combating, that summer heat, trying to get started a little bit earlier, a little bit later. Again, if you see any construction taking place outside of hours, if you will submit a hub request, we can get an inspector out there. If it's submitted to the hub early in the morning, we can get an inspector out there the same day. But within 24 hours, we'll have someone out there to take a look, document any construction going on. And typically what we do is we give a verbal warning to the contractor. And if they're caught again, a stop work order goes up and halts all activity on the site. So that, as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of consequences there financially for a builder or developer. So we're trying to hold them accountable for everybody in the community. Two or three more things. I think I actually saw a question pop up in the chat, so I'll cover it before I close out. One of the big initiatives for Mayor O'Connell's office was language initiatives and accessibility for different communities in Davidson County. So the codes department was actually lucky enough to be one of a few departments that was awarded the opportunity to take place a new language access initiative, which means all publications that we're putting out, whether it's pamphlets, flyers and things, are now going to start being translated into 10 different languages. I haven't told the council member this yet, but she will be shared with a lot of that stuff. So she will have access to all of that. In addition to that, we have a zoning help desk that we started last April. That is a one-stop shop for anybody and everybody to call. And it's staffed 5 days a week from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you have a question, say you want to put in a deck or you want to put in a pool, what permits do I need to have? You know, maybe you want to start a home-based business. What permits do I need to have for that? What's the process? You can start the building permit process there, permitting food trucks, short-term rentals, everything you can think of. That is where we started at. They offer in-person and over-the-phone services in 3 different languages currently, English, Spanish, and Arabic. And we're trying to move on to 5 languages by the end of next year. So we're doing our best to make things accessible. I know the building code and zoning code are hard enough to understand. So if there's a language barrier, we want to make sure that's easy for everyone to understand. I will mention 2 more quick things. The zoning help desk, if you do want to get in contact with them about maybe the zoning of your property or whatever other issues you may have, you can contact them at zoninghelpdesk@nashville.gov. And you can also reach them via phone at 615-862-6510. And I'm going to put all this in the chat when I finish, as well as my contact information as well. I did want to say if anybody has any questions about specific properties or specific projects in the neighborhood, I'm going to, if you will, email me the specific address or parcel number, and I can get back with you. I'll have to go and talk to the inspector, maybe the building chief or something like that. I want to make sure I get everybody accurate information, and I don't have that with me at the moment. Real quick, council member, I'm going to address this question I see here, and then I'll be quiet and we can move along. So someone asked about the enforcement in regards to No Mow April, which I think is a program through the Cumberland River Compact to kind of, let gardens and grass and things, your natural grasslands, kind of grow up a little bit higher in April, and it's beneficial to pollinators and different animals and things like that. So they have actually reached out to our department, and we've talked to them about if you're participating in the program, they do give you a little yard sign to put up. And our inspectors, we have met with them, and they know not to enforce any tall grass and weeds as long as it's under a certain height. But if you're participating in that program, our inspectors, if they see a violation, know to just note that they're taking place in the program and not to issue an abatement letter. So we're working with the compact there and excited to see what that brings. One more quick thing I see, I think Twana asked, please define outdoor construction. We have some personal private construction who uses beep beep construction equipment on Sundays, same prohibitions. Yeah, so outdoor construction, and I can get you the definition in the code. It's anything that takes place, work by a contractor that takes place outdoors. So that doesn't include, maybe you installing a new toilet inside your house or pressure washing or anything like that. As far as beeping construction equipment, I will say there is an exception. Monday through Saturday, you can start as early as 5 a.m. unloading construction equipment. So that's just, unloading drywall and things like that. And sometimes those vehicles, you will hear them backing up and making noise. But as the way that the code is currently written, that was put together by the council, there is an exemption for unloading materials and equipment. But you shouldn't see anything going on Sundays. If you do, if you will, reach out to us via the hub, and we'll send someone out there. Councilmember, that's all I have to cover. I may have missed some questions. I see the chat moving along, but if anybody has anything else, I'd be happy to answer that.
Well, I have two things for you. And when I finish, somebody help me because I'm on Rosie's thing now because somebody called me and I couldn't get my volume back up. But when I finish, I see Tawana has her hand up. So I have two things. One, I was reached out to by some folks where their neighbors were doing parties, not like a party, like a celebration party. Like, how do I put this? Different cultures are used to having different celebrations, types of celebrations. And the music was kind of loud and the music went past 12 o'clock. And so by the time we report it and somebody comes out there and talks to them the next day, they say, no, we finished. We turned it off before 12. So what do we do for that? And then the second question is, I know that there was a resident on Old Hickory that I brought to your attention before because people had been hitting me about the commercial about all of the logs and different things in that front yard. And nothing was ever done that I know of. So if people have something that they know is really bad, they just send you that email, then how do they know something happened with it? And then how do they know when they tell you all these people are making too much noise and they don't stop? And they don't do it every day. They just do it when it's a celebration. So they may do it once a month or something, but still that's too much if people have children or folks who have to sleep. So how do you respond that something's going on with that?
Yes, ma'am. So typically anything that happens like that after hours, and I may get some input here if we have a representative from MNPD. I think those calls do go to the police department just because, like you say, we don't have after hours or nighttime inspectors. Although we're a public safety department, we work from 7:30 to 4. Mostly in construction, we do part of that noise ordinance, mostly the construction noise and commercial. I didn't know if you mentioned we have someone from PD here. I didn't know if maybe they wanted to weigh in for
We do.
nighttime noise for parties. Okay.
And the commander may just talk about it when he gets to his part.
Okay, that's fine. And then the issue you had talked about before, I believe it was on Old Hickory Boulevard, we had talked about several months ago. We sent a zoning inspector out there and a property standards inspector, and I can pull up my notes and send those to you, but I'm pretty sure what I was told is that the logs were firewood that they had for sale. And according to the Tennessee state constitution, agricultural activities are protected and are exempt from the zoning code. So if they're farming or selling timber, things like that, and timber is considered an agricultural material, we can't touch that. That's actually regulated by the state, telling us that, farming is a protected activity, is a right to farm state. They have the right to do that. Now, if there's additional junk, trash, and debris other than those materials, we can address that. But I'm pretty sure the inspectors told me that was considered an agricultural activity last time we talked to them.
Great, thank you. That helps what I can share with some of the people. But if they went out there to inspect it, then I'm sure they saw all of the other stuff out there because I rode out there and saw it as well. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
see Brent has a question, but Tawana had her hand up as well.
Well, Tawana, or should I go?
Hey, I would like to just follow up, Will. I'm trying to pin you down intentionally a little bit about the Sunday construction, and I want to make sure I understand you correctly. Contractors are regulated, but I think I hear you explicitly not saying that individuals who are using equipment are regulated. I just want to make sure my takeaway from that is accurate. That's my first question.
Yeah, and I may not have been clear on that. There are certain activities that an individual normally can partake in on their property, whether it's, upkeep in the yard or small projects that are not included. But the way the construction noise ordinance reads, it says it is unlawful for any person to engage in these activities, and it lists out. And I will say, I just pulled it up for the purposes of this section. It says outdoor construction means any construction activities occurring outside of an enclosed building. This provision does not apply to activities necessary to mitigate safety or significant traffic concerns during the stated restricted hours, concrete activities, utility and road work, hauling of large loads, and similar. So you'll typically see whether it's NES, Metro Water, anybody out doing public utility work or anything for public safety are exempt from those regulations. But yeah, that does apply to everyone unless it's a small. Typically, you don't have to have a permit to change out fixtures, things like that. But if anything that requires a permit, we do require you to adhere to that 9.3 construction noise ordinance.
Okay, and I think you've sort of touched on the issue, the question, the property in question that is doing Sunday work is probably, now that you mention it, gonna have that farming exemption. And it's actually directly across from Councilmember Lee's home, and they had left some trees and they're hoping to develop this property, but over the last week, they basically clear cut the rest of it. And then they're gonna come back wanting community support for a project after they've already clear cut it. But what I hear you saying is that because logs are considered a farming implement, a farming activity, we probably won't be able to do anything with it. Is that accurate?
So as far as the actual wood, yes, that is accurate. Now, as far as the clear cutting, the way the Metro Code is written, we have an urban forestry office as part of the codes department that manages and regulates tree removal permits. But the way the Metro Code is written, residential 1 and 2 family zoning is exempt from that. So if it's medium density family, commercial, or up, you do require a permit. But if you have a single family zoned home, you can clear cut your lot without a permit.
It's vacant property with no structures on it, and they want to develop it in the future.
So it would still have a zoning even though there's no structure. So I would have to have
AR.
a parcel number.
AR
Oh,
2A.
okay. But yeah, then you're correct then, because an agricultural activity or an agricultural zone parcel is exempt.
And they don't have to count trees or do anything then.
That's correct.
Because I reached
Thank
out to Tawana to planning myself to try to see what was going on over there because they just demolished all of the trees, not some, all of them. and they
That's right.
didn't have anything at that time, and said, just like what Mr. Dot said, that they could do that. So I did check on that because it's crazy.
Yep,
But
and then they're
sorry.
gonna ask for support in the next few weeks for a project, so thank you. That takes care of the questions I had. Just one way for the commander when he speaks. The parties at night, what we were told is if they have people coming in for a festival type event, they have to have a permit issued by the police department, but there really isn't a good way of enforcing that when it is late at night, except for the noise ordinances. And of course, the police department is so backed up that that becomes problematic. So thank you.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Some interesting things here that is always kind of we see around here a lot been addressed, but I'd like to address with Will there. I'm Brant Miller and my wife Patricia. We live here on Old Hickory Boulevard near the Cambridge Community Center and across from Clover Glen. And we have a right of way, a ditch, really, big ditch right next to the road that Metro used to come by, or somebody used to come by. Yeah, it's Metro maintenance. And they would mow it and keep it down. And then they stopped doing that. And they said that the landowner of the adjacent property, even though it's on the Metro right of way, has to maintain it. And then if the grass gets too high, you can get cited, which I've been maybe twice for letting it get too high by a neighbor. And so, I was going out there and it's extremely dangerous going out there, cars whizzing by. I bought some cones, but to put out there, but it's like taking my life in my hands every time I go out. Now, is that in your eyes something that we are supposed to do, have to required to do, keep that grass down there?
Yes, sir. I may actually pass this one off to Mr. Purvis when he speaks, because generally anything in the right of way, that jurisdiction falls under NDOT. We do have jurisdiction over private property until you get into the right of way. So I'm gonna, if that's okay with you, let him speak to that.
Yeah, and that would also, I also would like to know whether no mow April would apply to the right of way, grass and brush along the right of ways, but the big question is whether, we really have to be responsible for going out there next to the road and with my weed eater and watching out for cars and hoping in the road and hoping I don't end up getting hit.
So I can't answer that. I can't remember the exact code section, but property owners are actually required to mow the easement, the right of way easement, the furnishing zone, whatever you want to call it, that portion of grass in between your sidewalk or the road, basically up to the road, actual road line, up to the curb is the property owner's responsibility according to the code.
That is
It's scary.
it's scary.
And I will say that is pretty much the national standard. And this does concern. We talked about this when the snows came as well. According to the code, you are actually responsible for keeping the sidewalks that abut your property clear of obstructions as well. That is also the property owner's responsibility. So in our code specifically, when it comes to snow and ice, property owners are actually required to clear sidewalks of snow and ice as well. So it all falls under the same sort of expectation and requirement that property owners are required to maintain their portions of the right of way that we have easements on, or that we have improvements on, depending on the situation.
It's forested.
Yeah, sometimes there's some property that nobody's ever out there doing it, and it's growing up and it gets taken care of, and we don't think it's by the actually property owner. Is there always somebody going to cite a landowner for not mowing the right of way?
So I think if we've I mean, this, as far as citations go, I think that is back in codes' portion. We don't write citations for overgrowth in the, even if it is in the right-of-way easements. So that would be back in Will's court as to how the citations actually happen and with frequency, who's responsible, et cetera.
Okay, well, I'd like to, get some answer. I mean, so last thing, follow up would be, how do we get that changed?
That would be a code change, which would have to go through. That would be a legislation through the council. I will reiterate that is the national standard as well. You'd be pretty hard pressed to find any other city that does maintain every single portion of the right-of-way easements and furnishing zones, strictly because of the pure manpower and dollar amount that would take to do that, which is always up for discussion, but it's usually much more than can be stomached.
Well, then this will be a perfect follow-up when we come to traffic calming, because cars will get up to 50 miles per hour
Faster.
or faster on that road, and it needs something to slow down those cars. So
What road are you guys on again? Sorry for asking.
Old Hickory Boulevard, right there
Understood.
between Cane Ridge Road and Whittemore on the north side.
I don't see his name
All
unless
right.
he's on the telephone.
So Matt, I hope you got that when you get to your part about those questions that have to do with traffic calming and everything as well. If there's nobody else that has a question that can't wait, then I think our next group was water. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Is everybody good? Mark, Mr. Miller, I didn't cut you off in the middle, did I?
Well, I actually said I think traffic calming is really needed on a road. And I don't know if you caught that. And when we get to that conversation, we've asked for speed humps and things along, because people go 50 miles per hour or more sometimes. And if you're having to be keeping the right of way kept down, it's very dangerous. Or if you're just trying to get out of your driveway onto the street, onto the road. So that's another thing we want to follow up with. Thank you.
Yes, and I did catch that. That's why I was making sure that our representative from NDOT heard that. So that's part of what Matt could talk about too when he gets on there.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Honeysuckle, will you introduce your team and you can take it away?
Good afternoon, everybody. Council Lady Lee, I've been with you all this time and you still can't get my name right. You're going to put the suckle on the honeysucker no matter what. But it's okay.
I sure do. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Because John Sterner, he'll modify my name anyway. He'll put honey and add some other stuff on there. So a suckle is good. John,
So I got to get it right then.
So myself, I'm John Honeysucker. I'm the Assistant Director of Waste Services. I've been your council liaison for many years, but I'm so glad that I can assist Mary Peoples, who's on here, who has come aboard with water, and she's really ramping herself up. So it's kind of like I'm her assistant with that as she gets up to speed. So for time purposes, I'm just going to open the floor with trash. Let me just tell you this much: with the trash, we've made a modification to your service provider in that area. I've asked them to start addressing your area starting in the morning time on the day it's supposed to be picked up, rather than wait until it gets in the afternoon, because it seems like you always are the ones that are the recipient of trucks are breaking down or not having enough staff. So we're addressing that. Your council member has been on us about it. I appreciate her staying vigilant about it. And they're hearing what she's saying, and we're hearing and making a difference in that. So if you're still having issues with that, please let the council lady know. Report it to Hub. Hey, half of y'all have my number anyway. You all will reach out to me and email me. So continue to do that. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. So with that being said, like I said, for time purposes, what questions do you all have for me? Tawana, I can't read. I'm on my phone. I don't have my glasses on. So you're gonna have to speak it to me today.
It's the same question we've been asking since October. We want a meeting with Metro Water to specifically talk about the 5905 Cane Ridge Road development. We keep getting answers with no detail regarding the siltation that's coming off that property. And we want a detailed review of the plans. We want to see what's happening, what is supposed to be the correction for it, and have a more detailed conversation than we could possibly have in a meeting like this. And we're not getting those details. Thank you.
So, let me just ask this: is this a property that's currently already being developed right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we can do, Council Lady Lee, if you like, at your convenience, we can maybe meet down at the development services with a select few of people to sit down with the reviewers that actually reviewed the plans and allow the engineers, because myself and Mary are engineers, and that will give them an opportunity to ask the questions directly to the plans reviewer. If you all are okay with that, I'm fine with that. Is that your?
With that, then I'll have to get together and see exactly, because when she said we, she was talking about her group. I was not actually in that, so I'm not sure exactly what the questions were, but that's fine. I can help facilitate such a meeting, get everybody on the same page and see if we can make that happen, if that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be more than happy, like I
Okay.
said, bring a few people down there. We don't want to have 50 people down there. We want to be able to get to, if you could have somebody like yourself and a couple of other trusted members that could come with specific questions and, that you all want to address directly with the reviewer, we'll be more than happy to accommodate that.
I can facilitate that meeting.
Okay.
Anyone else have any specific questions for
Ed
Water?
had popped up on there. Ed, you got to read it to me, man. I can't see. Ed? I thought it said Ed.
I think he said he didn't have a microphone. He was in the library.
Can somebody pull it up on
J-
the?
John,
He's
it says
asking-
where can
Go
I
ahead.
find a list of specifically what to put and not to put in the recycling bins?
We should have that on our site, our website. But if for some reason it's not on there, email me and I'll be more than happy to send that to you, or myself or Sharon Smith. We'll both be able to get that taken care of. Anyone else have anything else for me?
The homeless camp on the dead end of Cane Ridge Road is growing significantly. And I know that's going to be a multi-agency response, and it's going to be difficult, but is anybody looking at that? Do you know?
That I do not know. That would probably end up being, as you said, it's a multi-department collaboration, but I think one of the main ones would be the Homeless Impact Group. They've been pretty much spearheading those programs dealing with the homeless encampments. And what they do is once they take the lead on it, then they'll kind of add the other departments in, whether it be asking for assistance from codes, asking for assistance from NDOT, but that's spearheaded directly out of the homeless group.
Think about Miss Rosie, if you're on here and you can hear us, we may want to, next time we have one of these meetings, make sure that they are on here so that we can talk specifically to them. Did you hear who that was, Miss Rosie?
That's April Calvin with the homeless impact division.
Okay, the homeless impact. And I saw another question pop up really fast and disappear. Someone said that their husband had a question about something. Let's see if I can find that, if it went in the chat or where it went, or whoever was reading.
It's a question about what can be dropped off at a convenience center, and I think that should.
Oh, was that
probably
same one?
be-
Okay.
It should probably be at the same page or near the same page that Derek just put in the chat for the recycling information. But John can.
Oh,
correct me if I'm
okay.
wrong.
Yes, it is. It has been
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you, Pat. Well, with that being said, I'm not going to hold up any more time. Thank you all as always. I do have to join another meeting. Yeah,
Okay.
I look forward to seeing you all at the next meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you very much to you and Ms. Peoples.
All right.
Thank you, dear. All right, Matt, are you next?
I believe so. Hey, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Matt Purvis. I am the council liaison for NDOT, the Nashville Department of Transportation. As Mr. Dodd alluded to earlier, pretty much everything in the right of way is under our jurisdiction, more or less. So that includes all roads, traffic lights, traffic calming, pretty much anything within there. Lights are, we touch lights as well. We have say in development properties when it comes to how they connect to the road network. It can be a myriad of things, but if it's in the right of way, it's most likely ours. I know that we talked about traffic calming already. As far as news for District 33, we recently announced our most recent selection for traffic calming programs, and Battle Road was selected in this most recent one. We have a couple projects ongoing that we are currently working on, one of which Mr. Stern pointed out, which I was incorrect. There used to be two portions of Carruthers, as I'm sure all of you know, but is somewhat news to me. And now one portion of that is considered Grace Point Lane. And I thought we had two Carruthers projects, one which is on the higher volume portion, which was pulled out, as I said to Mr. Stern. The other portion was just renamed to Grace Point Lane, and that project was actually chosen as a part of the surplus projects that council, was chosen using the surplus dollars that council gave us in last year's budget process. So that one, they had their first meeting in December. So they're working through the design phase for Grace Point right now. I imagine in the coming months we will come up with a ballot, and the residents on that street will be able to vote for that. Tawana Derek just answered Tawana's question. Yeah, the portion of Battle Road that was selected for traffic calming is the portion between Burkett and Old Hickory. And I know that we spoke about Old Hickory Boulevard earlier with speeds, and Tawana had said in the chat that all of Old Hickory Boulevard is a state route. That is actually not correct. There is a large portion of Old Hickory Boulevard from Bell Road going south until you cross the interstate, or I can't remember if it crosses or goes under the interstate there. But that whole portion is Metro's portion, but I will say that whole portion of OHB is still too high speed and too high volume to put any sort of vertical elements on it, as the speed bumps would be destroyed, and it would most likely make it more dangerous than it would add to safety. But the public meeting for Battle Road has not been announced yet. It was just selected last week, so we'll be sending out meeting notifications for those at some point. I know my team is working on that now. So the public meeting has not been announced or organized yet for the most recent selection. But I am here for any sort of questions. I know in past meetings, y'all's district was not a lot bigger, but spanned a lot more ground. So I know that some questions might be holdovers from projects that are now in different districts, but Derek and myself are here for anything that you guys have. So we can go ahead and get started. No questions left in the chat right now, but we've got a lot of hands up. I don't know who was first. Councilmember Lee, if you would like to handle that.
So I think Dave had a hand up. And I don't know if any other were before him, but that's the first one that I saw go up.
On the Grace Point traffic calming, will that run between the four-way stop at Oak Trail and Battle Road?
That is correct. That is the stretch.
And that's still going to be done?
That is correct. Yeah, that was my fault earlier. I thought it had been pulled, but I was looking at the other portion of Carruthers from Oak Trail where you go down and out, where it gets larger, I think.
And when will we see additional information as to what's going to be done?
Yeah, so the design is not finalized yet on that project. The first meeting was held on December 6th. So the team is currently in design on that. And I imagine, I'm not sure, right now we work in a way where we have one meeting, and if a second meeting is required, the project team will organize that. So I'm not sure at this time whether there will be a second meeting or whether the residents on the road will just be getting designs and their ballots to decide whether they would like it or not. But I imagine there might be a second meeting, which is yet to come. They're planning it.
Okay.
If so.
Would we be notified? We weren't
See
there.
Amanda, I
Yes.
see Julie, and I see my commissioner, Miss Whitney. And if somebody else is up there, I don't see you, so just go on after them, please.
Yes, I have a question about it's pertaining to Carruthers going from the four-way stop towards Waldron Road. I live on Princeton Hills, which is a part of Carruthers Farm. They're developing another phase right across the street from me that it looks like it's going to be a whole lot more traffic to travel that Carruthers all the way to Grace Point. Right now, I was behind a construction truck today at 12:30 coming home, and I could not keep up with the truck. He was absolutely, it was an extension of I-24, which it is most every morning and most every afternoon. What can be done to slow that traffic down? Somebody's going to get killed.
So, like I said, the portion from Oak Trail? Yeah, from Oak Trail Drive to Princeton Hills Drive. That is a portion that was applied for before that got pulled out of the vertical elements consideration. But it is still in our pilot program to figure out different elements to apply to help slow drivers down that don't involve those vertical elements. So I know the team is working on designs for those pilot roads as well. So it's not like it's too high volume, too high speed, so we're just not going to do anything with it. We just know that it is too high volume for vertical elements, so we're deciding and designing what other elements we can put to help speeds.
So when you say vertical elements, you're talking about speed bumps.
That's correct. But there are other elements that we can do that aren't speed bumps. There's turn hardening, there are chicanes, which are a possibility. We have a whole playbook, or I can't remember what it's basically a playbook full of different elements that we can consider for traffic calming, and there are a lot that aren't vertical, and just the volume precludes this portion from getting the speed bumps, the specific speed bumps.
I'm going to jump in right quick because we've had a lot talking about speed bumps. Haven't speed bumps been taken off of the table, and now we're talking about tables or those little things
speed
instead
cushions, speed tables? That's correct. Yeah, the
Okay,
traditional
thank you.
concrete speed bumps aren't in use anymore. The ones we're talking about are the plastic / rubber cushions that are much wider and usually more than one individual bump on the road spanning the width of the road, not just one single concrete bump. So the wordage has changed. So thank you for correcting me on that, Councilmember Lee.
I believe Julie and Miss Whitney. If you have finished, did you finish, Amanda?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And some other things too. I saw somebody put something in the chat. Yes, circles and widening or thinning. There are a lot of different ways that you can calm speed besides just the tables as well. Miss Julie?
Hey there. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I'm in Carruthers. I'm actually I'm across the silos, and with the traffic calming, I had in the last meeting from December, I'm the one that asked about putting a stop sign at Carruthers Road, Grace Point, and Clement right there at the silos, and the answer was no, people just run the stop sign, and I get that. But I did fill out the thing on nashville.gov to request that and got the same answer. No, we're not going to put a stop sign in. And I did ask, I think both times, and definitely when I applied for one online, to put in crosswalks, because we do walk that intersection. And so people are coming flying down the hill and we're trying to scoot across to get across that intersection, especially people from my area. I'm south of those silos, and so um that's our only outlet. And so there's nothing on our right, so we can't cross over that way. The sidewalks are straight ahead and then down on down Grace Point. So, is there a way to appeal that, or can you guys come out and just do some observation on that? Because still, I really think a stop sign would be very helpful. It would be helpful to us pedestrians. I think that I'd still like to push for this. Thanks.
So just to clear, who told you that they would just run the stop sign, so we're not going to consider it? Was that somebody from NDOT?
Actually, it was. I don't know
Do you
who it
remember?
was, because it was that last meeting in December, and they said, yeah, they'll just run the stop signs. So stop signs aren't as effective. But
So at the very least, we should be doing a stop sign warrant analysis for that
yeah,
intersection. Which when you you applied online on Hub for an analysis, is that what happened?
I think I applied for the stop sign.
First stop signs, yeah.
Yeah,
And they responded and said what exactly?
hold on, I should dig that up. They basically gave me the same answer that NDOT did, is that people just run stop signs, so no, we're not going to do it. Let me see here. Okay, hubnashville.gov. Let's see. Thank you for your comment. We've reviewed it. We've reviewed the subject location and found that it does not meet NDOT's criteria for recommendation of a multi-way stop. And that was
So
already.
that response, I will say that response is that one is correct in the fact that we shouldn't just say, well, people run the stop signs, so don't do them. That's absolutely
Yeah,
not the way
somebody
to go
did
about them.
say that.
So
Somebody
so
did
the
say that. So
right. So
but
I will correct that and say that's not the, we absolutely should be looking at the speeds and the volumes and the crash histories to see if a four-way stop is warranted. So from that response, it tells me that we did do a study and it was not warranted, which means that Derek can explain this probably better than I am because he's the actual engineer here. But a stop warrant analysis basically just looks at whether a stop condition, which guarantees a certain amount of rear end crashes and angle crashes because of just the way that people drive, in order for it to be warranted, it has to be more dangerous without stop signs than it is with. And stop signs present a certain amount of danger just by themselves. So the warrant analysis that they did and replied on Hub said that it is actually less dangerous without a stop sign there. Essentially, if we don't have a warrant analysis saying that it is warranted, we cannot put those implements in.
okay. Okay.
But we
There
should
hasn't
certainly be
been.
looking at crosswalks and other features for pedestrians.
Yeah,
That's at Grace Point and Clement.
yeah, Grace Point and Clement, and yeah, I mean, I think there was a crash there once a while back. I mean, I didn't see it or anything, but
Right.
the only other thing with pedestrian, and if you don't mind taking another look again, when we're coming out of my area, Clement, in the Morris Circle area, across from the silos, the way the land slopes and the road curves and just things like trees and signs in the way, it is very hard to see people coming in both directions. It's hard to turn left or right. And so even as I'm making the turn, whichever way, I'm just like, I hope they're not coming in the other direction, because I looked both ways. And by the time you look in the other way, the other guy's already coming up. And so it's just hard to turn.
Right.
I think there hasn't been very many accidents because we're all being super careful not to get into an accident. But just the amount of cars zipping up and down Grace Point, it really, please take another look. I mean,
Right.
if it
Well,
weren't
I
that
will say,
way, I
so
wouldn't ask.
Grace Point getting traffic calming, which it is, should help a lot of those issues. For crosswalks, we should absolutely be looking at crosswalks, and we have a place in
yeah.
the hub to request crosswalks, wherever you see fit to request them. And for your problem of trying to get out onto Clement from Moira, if I'm understanding it correctly, if there is overgrowth in the right of way blocking sight lines, we also have a place to request in hub for overgrowth in the right of way, and we'll come out of and evaluate, and if we can trim stuff, we'll trim stuff to
Okay.
fix the sight lines.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
May
All
I
right.
ask that everybody on here, all of my presenters, make sure that your email is in the chat so that if people have something that is specific to them and they need further conversations, they can make sure to reach out to you. And thank you so very much, Ms. Julie, for sharing. I think Ms. Whitney had her hand up because I know
Yes.
we have, okay, I know we had some more speakers before we go to our next division.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the roundabout at the corner of the intersection of Blue Hole and Pettis Roads.
It's
First off,
recently
just
finished.
yes, the 3-point. And first off, I live on this corner, so I am one of your best witnesses to what happens on the road, and I'm here most of the time. The first thing I would like to say though is it generally is working very well, and I'm pretty happy. And I have not seen the traffic backups that I have seen over the last 7 years at the 2 different times of the day when it tends to back up the most. I've maybe seen it slow down, but I have to say that it does totally get backed up when a semi truck comes around and gets stuck on the corner. And I know that from talking to the engineers and it is higher than it originally was planned to be. And the grade and it's just not a big enough corner for semi trucks. And since it's opened, I have logged almost a dozen semis that have high sided themselves going around that corner and completely blocks traffic. Not always such a bad thing, troublesome in the middle of the day, but when it's the end of the day in the morning, it really backs up traffic for families that are trying to drop off their kids at school. Not only that, the electricity pole has been clipped 3 times by trucks that can't make that corner, and they've actually pulled the guy wires off of them. So there is a standing order on Hub to come fix those guy wires, but literally that brand new electric pole is only up there with 1 guy wire. So that's, I just don't think that those trucks, granted, some of them do get through, but I don't think we can allow for the ones that just don't drive their vehicles appropriately. So how can we mitigate those semi trucks that don't really need to come through our neighborhoods? Those are not delivering construction materials to projects in the Cane Ridge neighborhood. They're literally, and I go speak with them and I ask them, how did you get here? Why are you coming this way? Oh, well, Google says it's a shortcut. So they're coming here just because they think they save some time, and they're actually creating a huge problem for themselves. So I know that there is a no truck sign on Old Hickory Boulevard right off of 24. It's so tiny, I could barely see it, let alone a truck. But I think some of them are coming from Old Hickory. Some of them are coming from the Tangers Mall exit. How they can even get on some of these roads is amazing. Turning onto these roads, but they can't make the corner. So can you give us an update on that? Also, sorry, it's also still very dark. When you drive around that, I've also watched at least 5 cars just drive over the middle of the intersection because they can't, the middle of the circle, because they can't see where to go. There's no striping and there's no reflective lights. Okay.
So I can actually let Derek answer this for me. He's been pretty much project lead on this.
Great.
Yeah, happy to pick this one up because I think we have been having those conversations with a few folks in the community lately. So we do know that those vehicles can make the turn. I think the issue, as you noted, some are new, some aren't used to it. You know, they're not, and we may not be warning them properly. So we're looking at reflectors in there, improved striping, advanced warning signs to let the semi trucks know. As noted in the chat, a no trucks or a no through trucks request has been made for that area. Now, putting up that signage makes everyone feel good, but realistically, you know, that we don't have much that we can do to keep trucks out of those areas. You know, I don't think it's high on the priority of enforcement options. So we really want to get in there on the engineering side, make sure that the roundabout works as well as possible for those trucks that do come that way. If we can discourage them, I think that's great. We know we're not every truck coming through there. And for the lighting, yeah, and it's noted in the chat here, we are looking at that reflective striping out there, which will make it a little easier to see. Also, probably get some more, I'll blank on the reflectors around the base of it to make it more clear at night.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how about fixing the telephone, the electric pole?
Yeah, so we've been in conversations with NES asking them if they want to redesign that location.
Oh.
I haven't heard back on a final answer yet, but they've been notified and we've had that discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, and this actually goes to another topic that we covered earlier about maintaining the right of way. The area between the curb and my property is almost a 45-degree slope. I cannot mow that with a mower. And so is that an area that's going to be covered in some of the service district when they mow the sides of the roads?
Now, I think going back to what was discussed earlier, anything that's, and like Matt, I can't recall the exact code section, but anything that's considered unimproved in the right of way, so somewhere where we haven't placed a sidewalk or some other public structure, maintenance falls back on the property owner.
Okay, well, you've made it 45 degrees. So how can I possibly maintain it when I can't even walk on it? Am I supposed to, you know, the grade of the road was actually, or the level of the road was raised higher than the original plans. My driveway isn't even to code. My driveway itself has actually got a steeper grade than the code.
I don't believe our code has a maximum driveway, but we can certainly talk about that. There are recommendations. And if you want to send me an email, we can discuss the grading out there. If it's not built to plan, we can get the contractor back out there and fix it.
All right.
Ms. Whitney, if that's something you need to do, please do that. Or if you see some others around you that you need to do that as well. Because remember, you're the commissioner now, so you've got a little push. So don't let them just fly by on you. You assert your little push.
All right. Thanks, Antoinette.
Okay, so I am going to skip. I'm make sure you all look in the chat because emails are there if you need to get to somebody specifically, because I'm going to see who is next. It's 7:10 now. I believe we have somebody from the fire department. Did we get somebody from the police? I know they were having problems getting on. Commander, are you on?
Yes, ma'am, I'm on.
Okay, then I'm gonna turn it over to you. And then the fire, I think I haven't left anybody out. Did anybody come on from the mayor's office? Okay, I'm gonna leave it up to you two then.
Okay, good evening. Sorry I had some technical issues, but just update on some crime. In the South Precinct, violent offenses are down. a little over 2%. Property offenses are down 15%, and part one offenses, which are theft, things like that, are down 11%. We're working with reducing calls for service. We have a unit that comes in on overtime. There's usually a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 5 or 6 officers that work Monday through Thursday. They come in at 5 and they leave at 11 during the peak hours to try to reduce calls for service and have officers out being more efficient with the calls that we do have and being proactive in some areas that we're having some problems in. I know there was an issue in all of South and basically all over the county about vehicles getting broke into or vehicles being stolen. There were the Hondas, the Kias, and we've created a unit. It's basically 70 officers that are working rotating shifts from 10 a.m. until 3 a.m. and they're working in areas that have seen the most increases in theft from motor vehicle and motor vehicle theft and robberies. And so that's out in the Bell Road area between I-24 around Murfreesboro Road and Bell, and then also out around Tanger and Battle in that area out through there with those new buildings. So theft and theft from motor vehicle theft have dropped in the first month that we've done this. So it's still a work in progress. We're still working on getting all that and arresting people and keeping them in jail. And so I wanted to update everybody on Tanger. I know it's been open now since October last year. In the first month or so, first 2 months, there was some shoplifting incidents with organized retail theft. We've made several arrests on several different groups, and now we're down to the past 3 weeks. There's been maybe one or two thefts a week at Tanger, and we've got multiple officers out there doing extra patrols when they can, and we're working with Tanger weekly. They come to my staff meeting, and I meet with them weekly just to go over some trends that we're seeing. We have a quarterly meeting with them at their location with the merchants to kind of get the detectives and the merchants on a first name basis, and they tell us what they need, we tell them what they need, and that relationship has done really well. And I would say we're making arrests on 80% of the people they want to prosecute on, and they're not wanting to prosecute on everybody. Everybody has their own different standards of what they'll prosecute on, but the ones we're getting warrants on are the retail theft people. And I'll turn it over to any questions. Anybody has anything?
I got a quick one, Commander. John Stern here. Used to be you could go on the website, Nashville.gov police website, and get what was it, monthly or weekly comp stat reports. Are those being produced anymore?
Yes, sir. I can find out from Danielle, see if they're putting them back on there. We get the weekly comp stat report on a link I have, and I can see if I can get that on there for you and email you. If you'll email me your email address, I'll make sure we get that to you.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
One thing that I wanted to bring up that I believe you told us the last time, because in my community, we still have these cars that are so loud that race up and down. And I know police can't be every place all the time, but I believe that I was told that if we knew of in our neighborhood, a certain car that did such, and we knew where they lived and those type of things, and we reported it, that police would go out and just have a chat with them about, it's been reported that they have been speeding through and that type of thing, and just have a chat with them and not give the name of the person who reported it. Does this sound like something that I should have been told, or something that we can be told when we see that in our neighborhoods?
Absolutely. If you want to, if they want to email me directly with that information, I can pass that on to the traffic division. They have an officer that is working solely on street racer problems, loud vehicles that are, you know, in that group of cars. And he keeps a list of all the people we interact with. They do an initiative on Saturdays, a street racing initiative where they go out and they work on these things. And he keeps a list of everybody they interact with. And if you give me that information, I can send it over to him and he will go out and speak with them and see if he's on their list, or if they're not on his list, he can add them for future monitoring.
Thank you so very much, Commander. You know, we are always so appreciative of you being on our meetings and answering. Does anybody else have something quick for the Commander? I also want to tell people, please, to keep calling in. I know it seems futile, but keep calling in when you hear the gunshots and those type of things, and where you hear them. Commander, will you share with people, because in our area, I know gunshots can be done not until, it can't be done after dark, but I had some people thinking that all parts of Davidson County were like city and you couldn't shoot in those limits. But I know out in our area, there is a shooting range actually, and you can do target practice and some things to a certain time at night. Would you kind of share a little bit of information just about that, just to let people know who may not know that are on here?
Yeah, sure. So up until dusk, in areas of the urban district, as long as you have a suitable backdrop, clear sight, things like that, you can do target shooting. There is a gun range out there that's licensed, and they do group shootings, usually with THP or other outside agencies come out there and they'll do some shooting, and they'll also have some private citizens come out there and do some shooting. Mainly the shooting we're seeing out through there has been related to the new park out there off of OHB. There's been some people going across from Cambridge High School going out there and shooting some things. So we're aware of the gunshots. We go out there as often as we can. I'm working with park police to get some increased patrols out there in that area as well. And we locate shell casings. And I want to say this: when we locate shell casings, we have a group of analysts that are civilian employees, but they take these shell casings and they run them through different systems. They can connect shell casings to different crimes across Davidson County. We're linking crimes and people. So hopefully we'll start reducing some of these random shots you're hearing out there. And it'll most likely, once we start locking some people up, and they've taken people federal and gotten some real time on them. And so the only gunshots you'll probably hear from people out that have, you know, a lot of property, they go out there and target practice, or that gun range out there.
But they're not allowed to practice after dusk, you said.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if we're hearing that, do we just call the non-emergency number, and what will happen?
Yeah, call the non-emergency number. They'll put it in our pending call logs. But I've asked the lieutenants and the sergeants on these shifts to make sure that when shots fire calls come in, that we make those a priority, because we don't know. I think we learned that with the young lady in Midtown where she was shot laying in the park there, and the shots fire call kind of sat in pending. And so I want to make sure we're getting those addressed and getting out there quickly, just so because it is dangerous. I mean, gunshots, if you shoot an errant gun round, it could come through your window and inadvertently really cause some damage and maybe kill somebody. So those are, true gun owners know the rules. I think the ones that we have problems with are the teenagers and the young people that want to use guns as for other things. So, but yeah, please call, please let us know. And it is a priority for me, and it's a priority for my supervisory staff to get people out there to you.
Thank you so very much, Commander. Tawana, I just want to say, in case you didn't know it, you have a ghost dog on your shoulders. It's a dog that's coming in and out. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it's not there. So be careful in that house. Do I have anybody?
Oh,
Yes, I have another announcement to make.
Okay.
I think everyone know that I'm sorry. I don't want to speak out of turn. Is this in regards
No,
to?
that's okay. I think we only have the fire department left, but Ms. Commissioner, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure everyone is aware of the two different cleanups that are happening. One is Mayor O'Connell's April 6th cleanup on Saturday, April 6th. Yes. And if you'd like, I put the information in the chat if you'd like to organize a cleanup for that day. Also, there's an Antioch-wide cleanup day with all the Antioch districts on Saturday, April 20th. And if you're interested in organizing a cleanup, we really would love some help. You can contact me or any of the Antioch district commissioners to sign up for that. That's all.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Campbell. Mr. Young, are you on?
I had a quick question to follow up on the reporting shooting at night, if that's okay.
Yes, Mr. Miller, please.
Yeah. It's really hard to get in touch with anybody on the non-emergency number, and may never get anybody. So I finally reached somebody when I called that at the police station. This was a year or so back, and they said, by all means, call 911 if you're hearing shooting at night, because you never know, it could be somebody getting shot. So that's what I've been doing, and I don't know if that's a problem, but I just want to know thoughts on that by the commander.
That's definitely not a problem. I mean, if you think it's an emergency, by all means, call 911, especially if you can't get anyone on the 862-8600 number. Just remember that those calls to 911 and 862-8600 don't actually go to the police department. That goes to the Department of Emergency Communication, which is different division of Metro. So, but yeah, if you can't get anybody on 862, then definitely call 911 and report those shots fired, and we'll prioritize it when we get it.
Okay, thank you.
And I am so sorry. I know our meeting is running extremely late. Is there anyone else, any other division of Metro that I have not, because I thought the fire was going to be on here, but I think they said next time they weren't sure if they could be on here this time. Is there anyone else that I didn't call on that needs to speak?
I can, Antoinette, I can do a little update on fire. You and your fellow council members did us a great benefit out here in Cane Ridge. You all put in the capital improvement budget money to create a master plan for the fire department. So that will help all of us understand what the demands are, both now and in the future. And hopefully they will keep you informed and maybe even get some citizens engaged in that planning process for the future of the fire department. But a lot of that was because of the advocacy efforts of your constituents and the constituents in District 31 as well, when the issue of the fire hall came up. So I just wanted to let you know, let folks
Thank you,
know
John.
that happened.
Thank you, John. Tawana, is anything else happening on that bathroom yet?
yes, we do have some updates. Thank you. Metro Park sent over a couple of different sets of plans to show what is being currently designed by the engineers, and it looks like everything is going to work like we hoped. It's going to be awesome. We can't wait. There's even going to be a spigot under the sink that you can fill a mop bucket with, and I think it's going to be awesome. We don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm kind of thinking it'll have to be before July, because isn't that when new budget stuff happens? So
And the money, and we wanted to hurry up since the money is there for it now before somebody tries to take some away. So if I have to keep saying, when is it going to start? The money is there. Just remind me and I will do that.
Well, let me just say real quickly, the building tomorrow is having the third Friday repast in a row. And those families have all tended to be elderly, and they are going to get such benefit. So thank
Right.
you very much in advance. It's really a needed thing, and it's going to be good for everybody. And while I've got you, I just want to say there's several people on here not on your email distribution list. If you want to put the info in the chat, for those
Rosie, can you
folks.
put your email? I'm sorry, Tawana. Rosie, before we go, can you put your email in the chat, please?
Sure.
And when she puts her email in the chat that she's getting ready to do now, if you're not on the email list, just send her your contact information if you're in 33, and then she'll put you in there. And so not only do you have to not have to go on Facebook to see this, she'll send you an email about this and other information as well. Thank you, Tawana. Oh, the little dog has disappeared again. Okay, so I want to thank, we had about 40 some people on here today. So we had a large group. I hope you heard some information that was helpful to you. I hope you found out some things that you can use that will be helpful to you as well. I like to have these like maybe every 3 months or something, because normally what we have are just hearing from developers and different developments that want to be in our area. But that is very important as well, because these meetings are the meetings where you get to talk with them about things. If they're doing something and you don't like what they're doing, then you can give them information about what you would like to see. There is a community group that has come up with some what do you call, not restrictions, but some guidelines that they like to give the folks who are trying to build in our area, which is nice. But I also want to hear from people who may not be involved in that group too. Because if you are in 33, then whatever happens, the traffic is going to affect you, not only in 33, but all over. Because as you have seen with all of the building in this area, traffic is really, really changing. I'm going to say within the last 5 years, it has changed tremendously. So it is important for you to be on the database so that you can get the information when we're going to have meetings, and hopefully you will be on those meetings. And I think, Rosie, you have your information in there now? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
cool. Thanks, Tawana. Okay, so I will run my mouth just a little longer just in case you're trying to get that, or you can take a picture of it with your phone or whatever. But it's roseanne.hayes@nashville.gov. So the time has changed. So it's still a little light outside. You can enjoy. And thank you for being with me, because I know that that was dinner time for some of you, but I really hope that we gave you some information. And as always, thank you very, very much, Miss Roseanne. I know there's some people that are like, she's helping her too much. Well, I don't care. If I need help for my constituents, Miss Roseanne is always there to do it. So if you all ever are sending anything and just want to send something to her to let her know how much you appreciate her, that would be good as well. But thank y'all so very much, and I hope you all have a very blessed night. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Antoinette. Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank
Thank
you. Good
I should
night.
have said this sooner, but real quickly, we have an intern from the Center for Historic Preservation helping to collect some information on African American in Cane Ridge community, and we really need some help with that. If anybody's interested, let us know. Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
everyone.
Tawana.
Bye.